Pinot Gris. He's got the Pinot, or sorry, you got the Pinot Blanc. He's got the Pinot Gris.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd go with the Gewürztraminer.
Oh God, I missed that. I haven't had it in like a year.
I know.
Okay, I think I'm officially recording now.
Okay.
We're gonna start this. To those joining us, welcome to Sour Grapes. This is a show that Mr. Kowalski and I started when COVID first came to be, and it's totally gone now. Now it's totally gone because we don't have to wear masks anymore. But we did about three. We did about 3 shows, and we tried to highlight things that were going on in the wine world, and essentially it's just for fun, really. But that's what it's about. So, and then I moved out to California, and stuff happened, and Mike's in the Berkshires at the moment, and then during this time of COVID, I got in touch with Karen. We connected somehow, and we all became fast internet friends. So this is the first time us all meeting, connection. Connection. And yes, we invited her to do this show with us tonight. So
Thank you.
yeah, so that's going on. Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so personally, I'm owned by a giant horse and a giant dog, one of which will probably enter the picture. She and I weigh the same thing, but the office is her favorite spot to sleep in. So I don't know why that happened. Just got married. Professionally, been a wine director for the same store for since 2012. Managed a ton of restaurants, but always consulted for my store. Well, beverage directed and managed. I guess that's it. I try to make as many connections I can in wine, and meet new people and educate myself as much as I can, which when you're in the same place, so often you kind of, it can stunt you. So I just try to learn from everyone and everything I can, because the thing about wine is like, there's this much there's this much you don't know, and there's this much you don't know. Like, so that's all I got.
Wait, Mike.
Sorry, like known knowns and unknown unknowns.
Yeah, exactly, right?
References.
Yeah, every time I discover a new grape, I'm like, oh my God, how did I not know about that?
So, groovy. So, folks, what is happening here is that we all bought a bottle of wine to share and talk to each other about it.
Yeah.
The basic premise of this show is to educate, and so it can be for anyone who's getting into wine, but also for folks in the industry, because that's where we are. But we're goofy, and we're not taking ourselves too seriously, because what's most important is that you drink it and you like it. Have it with an ice cube if you want, whatever makes you happy. That's what wine's about. Does anyone have a silly straw tonight?
Oh!
Unfortunately.
Wait, but I thought we were going to talk about movies and music, but let's go on.
We'll do that too. You want to do a little bit of movie talk before?
No. It's your show. It's your show.
All right. So let's see. Should I start it and see what's going on tonight?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
What you got?
We got Alsace. Now, Alsace, ladies and gentlemen, is a region in eastern France that Alsace was part of Germany before World War II, I think. Some history
back and forth so often.
Yeah, back and forth.
So Alsace, you've got.
If I can interrupt you for 1 second, that's where my grandparents are from.
Your grandparents are from Alsace?
Go on.
All
yes.
Right. Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. So I actually bring up a map here on Wine Folly. So Alsace is where the noble varieties of Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Blanc, and Muscat come from. What am I missing? I'm missing like that
Riesling.
fifth elusive grape.
Riesling.
Yeah, Riesling. All right, because Pinot
Oh my
The
God.
most obvious one from Alsace.
Hold on. Wait, all right. So, all right, I can't find the map. That's how prepared we are today. Well, here it is. So, but yeah, Pinot Blanc is not a noble grape. So your four noble grape varieties are Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, and Muscat. Pinot Blanc is grown plentifully, and then you have other fun grapes like Auxerrois and Chasselas and
Yeah.
Chasselas. Am I not?
Chasselas.
Oh my God.
Am I not giving it the proper Alsatian accent? And I realize I said
Well, technically, yeah, Chasselas.
Chasselas fired. All right.
Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good.
Was it really? All right. So what's going to happen here is that, so yeah, Alsace. So Alsace is very misunderstood because in the market you get these very thin bottles that they come in. A lot of people think that like that right there. So people see Riesling, they see Gewürztraminer, and then people automatically think sweet because there are sweet versions with these grape varieties. There's Riesling and Gewürz and even Pinot Gris have a lot of great sugar and structure, so you can ferment them to dryness or sweetness. And I think you can even get some, oh yeah, you can get some sparkling Riesling in Germany where they call it Sekt. Yeah. So
Well, my favorite is Austrian sect.
awesome. You know, as Chris Rock said, there's no sex in the champagne room.
Oh my God.
It's true. Not even one.
Oh, there's champagne in the champagne room.
I have a bottle I'm waiting to open for the right time, but I'll leave that to another conversation.
We can do that. We can do that. All right, I'm gonna share my my
Show and tell. Show and tell. Show and tell.
Show and tell. Oh, we're doing clapping show and tell.
Well, listen, I'm gonna show something to, like, you know, make it entertaining for people. Anyway, so here's Alsace is what we've been talking about. And there's Strasbourg and also vineyards up at the top, and the middle and the bottom of Alsace. Ooh, look, Mole House. Looks like everything's coming up Mole House. Anyway. It's gonna be a good night, guys. So, yeah.
I swear.
Now, on the other side of Alsace, along the river here, you have Germany. This is where the Vosges Mountains are. And on this side, you also get Pinot Gris. They call it Grauburgunder. You get Pinot Noir. They call it Spätburgunder. And you also get Gewürztraminer here and Riesling. So you have two areas, and they're much different sort of microclimates. But so we're going to follow these Alsatian varietals to the U.S., and then later we're going to follow a Burgundian variety Chardonnay to Italy, which is what Mike's got. But this is what's going to go down. So I'm going to go to another little place here called Lichen.
Like the
Lichen.
Yeah, how many jokes can you guys do before I start to...
Oh, shit.
I mean, depends on the cycle of the moon, right?
Yeah.
True. All right, so I'm just going to put this... So this says my name on it because it was a Christmas gift from the folks down the street, Lichen. So
yeah.
For people that don't know, I do work in the Anderson Valley for a winery called Bee Hunter, but, you know, for this show, I am not going to do any Bee Hunter wines because it's, you know, whatever.
Well, I really like in that wine.
Ah, there it is. That's what
Well played, madam. Well played.
that's what I was hoping for. So Lichen is a small winery. They own all their everything that they make is all estate fruit. So they're right on 128. Which, you know, if I had a map ready for that, that would be also pretty cool too. So let me see what I can do here. Ooh, welcome to the Anderson Valley. Wine road to the North Coast, right? Okay. So yeah, so for people who know where Anderson Valley is, the rolling hills of the coastal region of Mendocino County, when you drive up here from from San Francisco, it's like the windiest road ever if it's your first time going from Sonoma up to Mendocino. So it's not the easiest drive, but it's really, really fun to come
Like
up
the world
here.
that never ends. A road that never ends.
Pretty much. And this February, what would normally happen in Anderson Valley would be the Alsace White Wine Festival. But because of COVID, it's not happening right now. But so let's just go back to Lycan anyway. So Lycan makes predominantly Pinot Gris, Méthode Champenois, and Pinot Noir, like a lot of people do here in the Valley. It's known for Pinot Noir, but Pinot Gris and Alsace varietals are big in Anderson Valley. That's why we sort of pivoted to here. So this is the Pinot Gris. I haven't even tasted it yet for y'all. I tasted it at the tasting room, but I just so you know, I'm breaking my dry January for this, and then I'm going back to.
Oh God!
Let me go back to dry January afterwards. Just this is
That's
what I'm
not
doing.
I don't know what is.
Yeah. Well, let me read a little bit about this. You're still seeing the screen here.
Yep.
It's prepped in 2007 and planted in 2008. The estate vineyard, has 75% Pinot Noir and 25% Pinot Gris or Grigio. That's another thing, folks. Anyone watching? Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris are the same thing. Pinot Grigio is in Italy, and Pinot Gris is just the Alsace style made in Northern California and Oregon. In fact, fun fact, some of the first Pinot Gris varieties were planted by David Lett for Eyrie Vineyards in the 1960s in Oregon, and then it sort of spread out from there. But, again, there's got to be some geeky wine history buffs to say, well, it probably came to California in 14 or something like that. I don't know. It's probably not going to happen. So
not that kind of show, guys.
No, it's not. It's not about The Simpsons. Anyway, so listen. This Pinot Gris went through a 100% stainless steel fermentation. This is a very common thing. There are some Pinot Gris, like actually our Pinot Gris, we do whole cluster into barrel, but old oak. And then, so right here, it also says it's neutral oak as well. So this is a very common thing. And if you ever taste an Alsace wine, you say, oh, I love it. It's so fresh and crisp and, yummy. Chances are it's seen some oak barrel, but it's very, very old barrel that is meant to give texture. Winemakers that use barrels use old barrels because it's like a chef using salt. It's meant to season. If you use too much salt, then it's like way too, that's all you taste is salt. And if you under season, then you get kicked off a Top Chef. So
yeah, always.
It's not enough salt, and then that'll make or break a career. So the color of Pinot Gris is usually this sort of light yellow straw color. Pinot Gris might give you what they call legs in the glass, because all that really is glycerin extract. Legs doesn't mean a wine's going to be better. It'll just give you a definition of what a wine is supposed to look like. And the nose on this wine is just lovely. A lot of ripe and tropical fruits that I'm getting. A little bit of almonds. Also, for those of you who think we're just being all bullshitting by smelling all these things in wine,
right, but
totally making this up. There's the compound called the polyphenol compound, which exists in the flora and fauna in the world, and some of these same compounds are shared in the same grapes. So if I were to smell like a peach or a tropical note in this Pinot Gris, it's because those fruits are sharing the same chemical compound, and that's why we smell those things. So it's not like I'm like, oh, yep, no, totally, I totally get it. Yeah. Yeah, right. You can hear where it came from.
Wait, you have to do that. What's his name? The guy from Sideways. Notes of
Giamatti's character.
Yeah. Giamatti.
Well, we can do a Merlot and Right Bank Bordeaux show some other time.
I don't think we should talk about that, because I will say exactly what he said in the movie, and I don't think I'm supposed to say that.
Don't hold back.
I will fight you on that.
So I'm going to give a little taste of this thing. Oh, alcohol. So
Hit your lips. It's so good.
It's so good. Frank the Tank. Sorry, I'm sorry.
If anyone's ever had Pinot Grigio from Italy, they know that it can be kind of sort of soft, not really much to it. And this is because Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio is a high-yielding variety which can be planted anywhere. Now, in Oregon, in Northern California, where we are here, and even other parts of Italy too, like the Collio region in Friuli, there can be serious depth and weight to Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio, but the acidity should never leave you. So this one, I'd say, has a medium to full body. There's a richness and viscosity. When I say viscosity in wine, think of apple juice and orange juice. You know, that orange juice is always going to be weightier on the palate than apple juice is, so it's kind of thick like that. But then a little bit of acidity comes through and then sort of, hits you right over there. It's like, you're taking a piece of lemon, but it's not that tart. So a good Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio should have some depth and weight to it. It should never be too oaky. Classic. What?
Can I tell a Pinot Grigio story?
You can.
Okay. When I was in one of my SOM certifications, we had to go around the room and try to guess what the wine was, or blind tasting, and everyone guessed wrong. I guessed wrong, and they finally were like, there's 200 people in the class. They took the bottle out of the bag, and it was Pinot Grigio, and the whole room went, and the master somm went. She said, Pinot Grigio's paid for most of my homes. I was like, wow, mic drop. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a good story. But we can go into that a little later about certain brands and
yeah. I saw a lot of Pinot Grigio, a lot.
Yeah, so you got to make your bread and butter, which is really funny that an actual brand name came out called Bread and Butter, which I think is a joke in itself.
I know.
Very much so.
So just back to the Pinot Gris for a bit. If I were to pair this with a traditional Alsace dish, you can say Flammkuchen, or if I'm pronouncing it properly, it's just like an Alsace pizza. Instead of like the tomato sauce and all that stuff, you're putting on like bacon and potatoes and stuff like that. Or you can do choucroute, which is one of my favorite Alsace dishes to cook. Like I'm an Alsace expert. No, seriously, my friend Scott Peterson
in the back.
from Weygans Imports gave me a choucroute recipe like 5 years ago, and I've been trying to make it every winter. And it's essentially, we can find it and probably put it in the chat in a bit, but it's like sauerkraut and liverwurst and bratwurst and ham hocks and the cloves and everything, and you put it all in a pot and you pour in Riesling as the cooking thing, and then it's so good. And that would be good, but also spicy foods like a curry or something like that would be great with this the Pinot Gris texture. And if I was sitting by the pool maybe somewhere with a fruit salad, I think it'd be a lovely. I don't know what the hell that was, but yes,
Went very John Lennon there for a second.
It did. Imagine all the people can try some fruit salad with this Pinot Gris. So I think I may have had one more thing I was going to include in my presentation. I can try to share the screen again, but I'm really not gonna. But wait a second. I'm going to show you a picture of one thing. And I said like I'm like a British or Australian person. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you a picture of what the Pinot Gris grape looks like, because it's actually not what
it's not. Yeah.
Expect. So right here, as you can see, it's actually kind of pink and purplish. And these days, a popular wine trend, or going back to old school, is to ferment the skins in the must. For people watching or listening, When you make red wine, you have to put the skins in the must because that gives it the color and the tannins as well. And with whites, they generally don't. They generally leave the skins out. But with Pinot Gris, if you put the skins in while you're fermenting with the white wine, it will give it a sort of pinkish color. Traditional Trentino Pinot Grigio might call it Pinot Grigio Ramato. Even donkey and goat producer, winemaker Jared Brantz also makes a Ramato style Pinot Gris, and it's very pink in color. It looks like a rosé, but it's still Pinot Gris. So that's the fun thing about what Pinot Gris can look like. And yeah, look at that. Ooh, and if Wikipedia is correct,
Whoa.
Usually
it's like
is.
a weed.
If we don't like it, we can just change it later.
That's true. That's true. But look at this. So yeah, Burgundy, Loire, Alsace. It is in Burgundy because I went to Maurice Saint Denis one year, as I go every year. No, I just happened to be in Maurice Saint Denis, and they had Pinot Gris and Pinot Blanc blended in with Chardonnay. That was like the Maurice Saint Denis blend. So it was interesting to see it in Burgundy. Luxembourg, there was a producer called Claude Zalier on the East Coast that Mascherelli brings in. That was always pretty good. And yeah, South Africa, Slovenia, Switzerland, Turkey. Now, for folks that may want to buy lichen, if I'm correct, I think they're only available through their website. So if you want to get some lichen, check out the website and see if they can ship to you. As I'm aware, well, I don't know. They might be able to ship anywhere, and it's possible they're carried in other states. I don't know though, because I don't know. I don't work for the winery, but they are very small production. And like a lot of wineries out here, it's just 3 people working in the tasting room, and you know they make like maybe 2,000, 3,000 cases a year. And so that is lichen in a nutshell, but it's not because it's in a bottle. Do you guys have any questions about this particular bottle for me?
No, I think you've covered it all. In fact, you have more information than I think I can gather. I think 2 thumbs up. You did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, on my end, you know, where you have the range from Pinot Grigio that can be like really minerally and really dry to kind of having that, you know, hint of sweetness. Where would you place it on that kind of spectrum?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would probably give it. I don't want to say off dry, but it's certainly not bone dry. I guess there is a German term on some wine labels called Feinherb, which indicates something that's like less than a little sweet. Hey Lee. That's less than a little dry or whatever. But I would say it's definitely not bone dry, but definitely not sweet. But you can definitely get a little bit of residual sugar. So that's why it will work with some of those spicier foods for sure.
Nice.
And of course, anyone who's watching, any questions, put them in the chat as we go through, and we'll get to them as we go in, and then we'll let you be heard at the end. No, seriously, just ask away as we're going. So, and that was rated PG. All right. Who invited this guy?
Who goes next?
You know, I think it might make sense for you to go, Karen, since you guys both have New World
Okay.
varietals, and then I'll bring it home back to Alsace with this guy.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were doing Alsace, but so this is Kelly Fox, Pinot Blanc. Kelly Fox is a very great friend of mine. This is produced in Oregon, Freedom Hill Vineyards. She makes amazing wine, and she does everything herself, like hands-on. There's no intervention on anything. You could say there's some biodynamic, but I don't like to get hung up on those things. But it's just very clean, very clear, as you can see. And she really puts her heart into everything that she makes. And I thought I had a bottle of her nearby here, but apparently I don't. So the Pinot Blanc is definitely her, probably one of her mic drops. So I thought I'd go with this instead. It's straw yellow. Definitely, it smells earthy, but I can promise it doesn't taste that way. That's definitely apricot and apples. I suppose there's a little bit of earthiness, but I think that's just the nature of the wine. But her wines are very important to me, so that's why I wanted to present those to you guys today.
Nice.
So what's up with the Freedom Hill? That's a pretty well-known vineyard, no?
Yeah, she harvests from many vineyards. I'd say, I think maybe 6 total. I have a few others on hand, but this is the one that I like the best, so I went with that one. She does everything by hand, literally, with just herself. Maybe a little bit of help at harvest time, but you guys are putting me on the spot now. I'm getting nervous.
You don't have to get nervous.
Just
no, it's okay. No, but everything she does is she just puts her heart into it. And I wished I had her Mirabai or Ahurani or Montazi. I think I dug through the collection yesterday, and everything's up in our cabinet and some boxes, and my husband was like, please don't climb up on things, please stop, you're gonna fall.
Yeah, the Momtazi vineyard is I know is definitely certified biodynamic. Is the Freedom Hill vineyard certified that way too?
No,
okay.
no, I don't believe so. No. But I don't think she does everything. Oh, my table. Biodynamic, but she does actually, it's kind of subscribe to that, which for me is not that important.
You haven't found any
Go on.
You haven't found any cow horns or manure in your glass yet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there was an antler.
Hey, what you do in your personal time, man? Like
Yeah.
rock and roll, you know?
If I didn't want to get up, I'd grab my dog's cow antler that she chews on, or a deer antler, put it on the screen, but that would just be embarrassing for everyone.
Look what I found in this bottle.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where these teeth came from.
So did you get did you get this bottle from her direct, or did you get it when you were living in Connecticut, or where can people find this?
I would say in your area, it'd be pretty easy to find because it's from Oregon.
Oh yeah.
I usually order a few cases at a time and sell half of them and take half of them home with me in Connecticut. I haven't found anything in Maine where I can get it, which stinks. The Maine wine industry is very strange, because you can buy wine at Walgreens and it's crap wine. So I generally will make a call to one of my good friends who Jim.
Oh yeah, well I just met Jim the other day.
Oh, did you?
Well, yeah, no. Well, you said like I should go look up Jim Morrison. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's dead.
No, not and I said not that one.
No, he seems like a cool guy. Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome. So I usually order my wine from him, and I order it for the store, and then I order it for to take home. But yeah, it is a little bit hard to find, and I apologize for that. But it's definitely worth it, and I think if you want it badly enough, you can call for it at your store and get a case or two. But she definitely is in high demand at this point.
So
yeah.
and Jim works for Artisan Wines. Is that
Yeah.
okay? So if people check out Artisan Wines in Connecticut, they can probably find who Artisan sells to.
Yeah, and he's the rep for all of New England.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, yeah, and yeah, it sells like this. You know, she makes it and it goes. She makes it and it goes. Once someone comes in and buys it, then they just keep buying it and buying it and buying it and buying it. So I'm lucky if I get to steal the bottles that, well, I can't say I'm lucky. I just take them. But yeah, Kelly Fox Wines, Artisan, New England. I texted her to ask if she had another distributor, and she didn't get back to me, probably because she's busy making 10,000 gallons of wine. But hey, now it's your turn.
Yeah, I guess so. So
Thanks, Karen.
when I heard Karen and Nick were doing Pinot Gris and Pinot Blanc respectively, I said, okay, well, we're doing Alsace varietals, and I have this lovely little baby. It's Domaine Trimbach, which is one of the really big labels out of Alsace. It is their Vendage Tardive, which directly translates to late harvest, and it's from 2014. So they don't do a late harvest every year. It all depends on the weather and the climate there. The last two vintages I think they did were 2011 and 2014. And those of you that are like really big Italian wine fans and Nebbiolo fans, you'll probably recognize those two vintages as being really cold, really hard vintages. You don't see a lot of classified Barolo or Barbaresco from those vintages because they were colder. What that equates to in much cooler, much further north areas, it means there's essentially a longer growing period. So if it is cooler, you can leave the grapes on the vine for longer. You don't have to worry about things getting overripe or dried out. But in this case, you kind of want that to happen because with any late harvest wine, you're essentially letting the grape kind of desiccate itself or lose some water weight on its own, kind of by shriveling into a raisin into a sun. I will say that this is not botrytis, so not the noble rot. They do make another wine in that style. They call it their SGN or Selection Grands Nobles. And when Nick was talking about the noble grapes before, that Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, and Muscat, that's essentially what that SGN was made from back in the day. But this is just a single varietal. It's Gewürztraminer. A lot of people, I think, have started to see Gewürztraminer, at least in the last 10, 20 years or so. Back in the day, it was kind of equated with Riesling as being really sweet. In the case of Gewürztraminer, the translation is direct. It's like the little spicy one. Because you get a lot of kind of those baker's spices in the wine. You usually get a lot of clove. You'll get some of that like star anise often. And when you're doing it in a sweet wine style, all of that really, really comes out. I'm rocking my Newport Mansions Wine Festival glass, showing some love to some of the people.
I've poured it many times.
You can see it has a really lovely golden color. Again, when you have a lot of extraction, you're losing a lot of that water. You're going to get a more concentrated, more kind of straw yellow. This goes almost into like a golden color. Absolutely gorgeous. The RS on this, RS residual sugar, it's 290, or harvest sugar was 299 grams per liter. The residual sugar is 80 grams per liter. So, essentially going from, 300 grams to 80 grams. So you're losing, over a third of the sugar. But then again, when you talk about fermenting something to dryness, you'll get into the single digits of grams per liter. So definitely has sweetness to it, but isn't overly sweet, thanks to the location that it comes from, which is Alsace. And I'm going to see if I can make this screen share work and, not accidentally show my porn stash or anything. I mean,
That would actually generate some additional attention.
I don't need to get myself banned from any social media, all right?
Are you saying that you had a mustache that looked like, different?
That's exactly what I was
Okay.
saying. Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
Somebody gets it. I don't know where your mind went to, Karen,
No.
but
Karen's mind's better. I don't know.
so Domaine Trimbach, again, one of the older wineries in that region. They've been a family-owned estate, I guess I should say, since 1626. Amazing family. The most recent family member, I think, is Pierre, and this right here is the Vendange Tardive. So again, usually they reserve it and they do one each of the noble grape varieties, and then they pick it a few weeks after the official start of their harvest for them. And again, you can see there, the grapes are, so they are generally affected by noble rot, but don't have to be, which is what makes it different from an actual botrytis or SGN selection. Again, Gewürztraminer means a little spicy one, so you do get all of those lovely baking spices. And let's see if I can, move this out of the way, and boom. So again, Trimbach is like right by Rubiauville in Alsace. So again, kind of the northern part of Alsace. Some pretty good scores for the 2014, 95 in Wine Advocate, not too shabby. You can get this almost everywhere, which is really nice. Trimbach's definitely a big producer. These are part of, I forget exactly what they call the selection. Oh, it's their prestige collected, so rare and limited, obviously, because they don't put it out every year. And if you want to get super technical, you can talk about the vineyards that it's coming from. Okay, in this case, Osterberg and Rubiauville, and some of their stuff from Muleforst. Yeah, just delicious stuff. And if I want to go through tasting notes, on the nose, it's like pure lychee, if you ever had that Asian fruit. If not, think like really sweetened tangerine, so you get that really nice kind of acid to it, but that just gorgeous sweetness. I don't know if you can see, but again, definitely some good legs on there, and that's because of the sugar content. It's delicious. You have it cold, so you have the acidity. So if you have anything fatty, even cheeses, I think Trimbach suggests like Munster cheeses or cheeses that are slightly sharper, just to kind of bring out the sweetness, but also play with that lovely tartness and the fruit characteristic. It's almost like eating an insanely overripe peach. You know, you'll still have that kind of tartness to it, but the sugar just kind of, and that sweetness like makes it really nice and really floral.
So what about like a really bloomy cheese?
Yeah, again, it would go quite nicely, I think, with a Stilton Blue, anything else with that nice bit of funk to it. Because again, it has that balance of that acidity and that sweetness. Sometimes you can get overly cloying if you have something that has a lot of sweetness, but not a lot of acidity. Sometimes those funkier cheeses don't play so well. Not the case with this. This, I mean, for your cheese course, this is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm a Trimbach fan for sure. Absolutely, 100%.
They're killer.
I think some people also, it's good to know, is that a lot of people still think, I mean, I like how in the tasting notes on their tech sheet, it actually says pork on it, because a lot of dessert wines, people still think that it's only meant for cheese or desserts or anything like that. But in wonderful regions like Alsace, or if it's Tokaj in Hungary, you can pair it with everyday foods like dinner or lunch. It doesn't have to be for end of the meal all the time. And I like using these kind of dessert wines or these little sweet wines with super spicy food too. If you want to get some Thai takeout or something and, you know, destroy your tongue, you can at least have it offset it instead of drinking milk.
Exactly. And that's actually what we did tonight. We ordered Indian takeout from a local place, had some goat curry, had some classic tikka masala, but made sure they made it a little bit spicy. And you nailed it, Nick. That sweetness counteracts the heat, so it lets you eat more. And the flavors work amazingly together. Give us some free rice pudding. And again, that cardamom character, when they do the cardamom pobs, the Gewürztraminer brings it out just absolutely gorgeously.
one of my favorite dishes is anything Lebanese,
Yeah.
and I always had a hard time pairing, but I found rosé is like the easiest thing to pair. It's I don't know, it's just it goes along. It's fine. It doesn't have to be spicy, and the wine doesn't have to be sweet. It just like comes right in the middle. Um, but I do have a hard time if I'm gonna have something spicy finding the right wine to go with it.
Yeah, it's tricky. Definitely
Yeah,
is.
yeah, definitely. Well, that's when you have a margarita.
Exactly. You get everything. You get the salty, you get the sweet, you get the sour. It's a win.
Ah, okay, then see. You said Gewürztraminer means little spicy one, but
Is
you know where the origins of Gewürztraminer come from, Mike?
I mean, that's when you start to get into a really technical argument because some people will go back and say, "Oh, well, it came from Croatia," and but
Go
you know,
on, go on.
definitely, Germany, that area is where it's best known for, which is why you find it planted in Alsace and you don't find it planted in the rest of France, again, for that same reason. We talked about that region of France kind of going between France and Germany, and sometimes even Switzerland, believe it or not, for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
when I was in Austria, I was on a buyer's tour and we went to like, I don't know, probably 50 wineries. And I feel like at least one there was Gewürztraminer, or two, because it's cold as heck there. And it was delicious, but mostly it was like Gruner and Pinots and things like that. But it's hard to find the good Gewürz, honestly.
It is, and it does lend itself to colder regions, which is why you'll find it even in places like New York and places in Canada, Montreal. It's just a robust vine. It really is.
And
Yeah,
there's a ton of them here in the Anderson Valley. Most of the wineries up here make a really great dry Gewürztraminer. My winery doesn't. But they're around.
Actually, up in your area, Navarro vineyards, they make a wine, but they also make Pinot Noir juice and a Gewürztraminer juice. They'll just take the grape pressing straight, so you can actually have the single varietal juice before fermentation, which is really cool.
Yeah, they do. And in fact, our winemaker Andy was assistant winemaker at Navarro for 10 years, where he learned how to make Gewürz, but he doesn't want to make it for like things.
Oh my God.
In the new world, it's a tough thing to plant. You could plant things that are going to get you more money for the liter. So I get it.
Yeah, take me to your liter.
God, people are making these
Get
vines.
out right now. Go.
I'm gonna get out of here now.
Get
You guys
dusting.
are fun.
Get dusting.
Well, I just want to go back to the Gewürztraminer origin just for a second, though, because so you can get Alto Adige Gewürztraminer in Italy. Now, of course, also was once part of Austria, but in the town of Tramen is where some people say Gewürz, spice of Tramen, Tramener, like they say in a lot of German labels, like New Yorker. So. You're drinking the spice of Tramen. So did it come from the town of Tramen or is in the area hundreds of years ago, maybe? We don't know. Did it come from...
That's the beauty of these things. I would say it's absolutely likely that it was definitely in Tramen, and that may be, where the most recent iteration of the grape name has come. But like you see in Italy, they have 2,000 different grape varietals, and every
I
region
think it's
has its
actually
own name
more
for the
than that.
grape. So who's really to say?
Yeah.
No, Italy's fun. We got to do a whole Italian show next time.
Yeah.
And
I
see
didn't. Sorry, go on.
No, it's all right. I was just saying we should see how many grapes we can all name off the top of our head.
Oh,
Gosh.
oh God. I didn't know Italy. I thought France was hard to learn when I was getting my SOM certification. And then,
Yeah, they
and
take it really easy on you with Italy and the intro and the certified. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. You just need to know about like Sangiovese and
exactly.
Don't worry about the rest of the stuff.
But then I started working for Italy, which Nick knows, and I was like, oh God, I got to gear up on my Italian game, because when you're going through the Somm certification, it's like Burgundy and Bordeaux and a little bit domestic, and then I really learned, and it was like, okay, this isn't that hard. I thought it was hard. France is hard. Italy's not that hard. It's really not. But I have some good stories to tell about Italian winemakers, like Lodovico Antinori, who likes my
A lot of
Facebook
fun.
posts and Instagram posts, which makes me feel like a rock star. But don't shake your head at me like that.
No one's doing that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, let's see if we can do Italy next, if you guys invite me back.
See, it's perfect. That's why I hung on to the Umbrian Chardonnay that I had. I had a feeling we were going to go Italy.
We can go there. Let's see. So we did Alsace theme today, which was cool, and I had written some stuff down to talk about, but maybe we can just briefly touch on how the COVID has sort of hit the wine industry in different ways and how it's affected us all. It doesn't mean we have to be super serious, because we can still laugh at ourselves. But for example, but actually, we were talking with Karen earlier, but she and I were. But both you guys are from a restaurant background. You're both somms. I mean, I guess I could be a somm, but technically, I've never worked in a restaurant. So if you use that definition for it, I've been in retail and I've been in production side of things. So
you're an honorary somm. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're in the club.
Yeah. So
sorry, go on.
No, you go and speak now.
Oh no, you do it now. So trying to find a different job here in Maine has been a disaster, but it's okay because I get to go home and work at my store for 3 or 4 days every once in a while, and it's crazy. It's busy as heck because people can't go to a restaurant and have a drink, so they come to the store and they grab what they want. And so I'm selling, it sounds so cross, but I'm selling a lot of wine, and so I mean, I guess that's like a good thing for business. At the same time, I wish restaurants and opens could be open, but I know that that's not going to happen for quite some time, and that's safe, right? That's like the proper thing to do. So how it's affected me is just crazy busy when I'm there and wondering what's gonna happen going on. And that's all I got.
Yeah.
Next.
I mean, I'm with you, Karen. It's made people that are used to that traditional restaurant atmosphere. It's made it really difficult for people in the industry.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of industry bodies out there that are doing what they can to assist those people that aren't having nearly as much work. So
Right.
thankfully there are people like that. I mean, everybody gives Guy Fieri a bunch of grief, but he is an absolutely amazing philanthropist. And he's raised more than I think like half the PPE loans that went out to restaurants in the U.S. The guy's just an absolute rock star in that regard. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, Nick, Dominic from the wine festivals that we've been running. He's been, he's essentially entirely shifted his paradigm to, take way into food shelters and to people that are food insecure. So in some ways, it's nice to see that kind of returning to your humble roots and realizing that, what is a restaurant? Really, it's a place to stop, rest, and relax. I mean, that's where the origin of the word comes from.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
it's nice
I
to see
guess
people
I never thought about that.
giving back in that regard. For me, it's been crazy. Um, it it's let me do things that I wouldn't normally have been able to do. Like I've been able to work for a wine publication, which I would have normally never done, just because the time constraints and it doesn't really pay. But it's something I love to do, and I've had the chance to actually open restaurants in COVID, and that's just a whole nother bear in and of itself.
Yeah.
You're looking at, I mean, you thought it was bad when you were trying to, pass your first health inspection for your kitchen and for your restaurant, let alone all the new regulations and having to keep up with, the changing laws per state and per, county on a weekly basis. So it's tricky, but again, like you said, the plus side is a lot of people are now comfortable just buying wine and drinking wine at home.
Right.
So retail shops are getting the opportunity to not only just carry, the big name brands, they're actually able to be more ambassadors like Psalms are at restaurants, say, hey, this is a really small wine from a really great winemaker out in this little region. You should try it.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely. Yeah, and we've had days that we call it OND. I don't know if that's a thing where you guys are, but
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, because I've said it to a few people and they're like, what are you talking about? We've had days that are busier than the day before Thanksgiving, which is like the craziest day. And it's 500-600 people. So it's changed in that way, but at the same time, we have people that come in, they don't wear a mask, and that's annoying. And we have people that come in and they wear gloves and touch everything. I'm like, you're not doing us any favor touching things with your gloves. That's not helping. We have sanitizer by the door. Use that. Stop touching everything. But anyway, that's my rant. Sorry, over. Your
I
turn.
mean, you have to literally, like, one of the things we had to do with the restaurant when we first started, you have a like 5-minute spiel where you say, okay, you can, as soon as you sit down, you're more than welcome to take off your mask, but anytime you get up or move, we ask that you put it back on. You have to go through that again every time.
Every time, yeah.
If you're lucky, 40, 50 people a night.
We put on plexiglass behind my desk and like all the way around, and I don't let people, my dog comes to work with me every day. I don't let people pet her unless it's a kid, because I can't deny her that because she loves it so much. So she will like run to the gate and like, oh yay, there's a kid. But anyway, all right, next topic.
Oh,
Nick hasn't gone yet.
Yeah, go on, it's your turn.
I have a couple of things, but one is when this all happened, I was working for a wine importer. I was a sales rep. I was working in the Boston wine market, and most of my accounts, even for my surprise, were restaurants. I came from a very long retail history and ended up getting into a lot of restaurants. And when they started to shut down, of course, my business went down. And of course, your heart starts going out to all the restaurants that are shuttering, people getting furloughed, losing their jobs. And then also as a wine rep, though, this is what happens. You have all of these wholesalers in the market. You have these big ones, which have the liquor and brand names and wine, and they're going to survive because they'll still be selling to big box stores and they'll be selling to chain restaurants.
Uh-huh.
You have these very, very small wholesalers, like Oz or Hangtime, like to say in meth. They just have small wine producers and that's it, and they're not well-known brand names. So they lose their restaurant business and they flood into the retail market. So now I'm also fighting even harder to keep retail placements because everyone who were just selling to restaurants are now flooding into retail. So from my perspective, it's a crowded market. It's great, awesome. People are shopping and retail numbers are higher, in COVID than they were in December for some places, and that's wonderful from a salesperson perspective, especially if you were working for a company like I was. I don't really have any famous brand names. It was tough to adjust. The stuff that I sold worked better in restaurants because they were high-end Bordeaux and Burgundy, and people would I would have 3 accounts in the city alone that would make me survive for like the whole year. And so that goes away. You're like, well, what do I do? All right, we'll just keep doing retail, and then, you know, start a COVID sour grape show with a fellow friend. Try to see what you can do to help people, you know. And it's been crazy, and it still is crazy. I probably have to say I probably wouldn't be out here in California now if COVID didn't come along. I'd probably still be in Boston working for this company. But even so, even for wineries out here, it's been rough as well, with shutdowns and tasting rooms closing down. You know, you've got to pivot to DTC selling. You've got to make sure that your Instagram and your social media and your online game is strong to make sure you can keep up business that way. Luckily, Mendocino is the only county that's still open right now for tasting. I mean, everything's safe and outdoors, but people from Napa and Sonoma, locals from Napa and Sonoma, are coming up here. So it's not just tourists that are coming from San Francisco. It's like everybody's coming up here, and it's still very widely spaced, you know. So it's not super crowded still. So I guess as a wine region, we're seeing more business than we did last year. But it's interesting how the numbers move all around. But I wanted to pivot back to restaurants just for a second, because I've been seeing a lot of articles coming out saying, is the customer finally wrong? I'm like, good. Because one of the articles that came out recently was, you know, I think the title was "The Worst People Are Dining Out."
Oh my God, that's so true.
not to knock, you know, everyone who goes out to dine and eat, but people that are going out to eat now who don't care generally seem to not care about anybody but themselves. And as if restaurant people always got, you know, picked on and crapped on anyway, now it's 10 times worse. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
To say the least. I mean, for me, like, in a past life, I was doing, you know, neuroscience research, and my background is in, you know, some of the medical sciences, and anybody will tell you the worst way to spread, the worst way for, you know, these aerosolizing things out of your mouth is eating in any sort of capacity, and drinking as well. So in a lot of ways, you know, restaurant workers are right up there with people in hospitals in terms of being the most high risk for exposure.
Yeah. And Karen, do you feel that your name contributes to all of this?
Shut up. Shut up.
You're one of the coolest, you're one of the coolest Karens I know.
So okay, give me a second.
Okay. We'll let you compose yourself.
Yeah, I got it. I'm good. No, I'm not good. When someone accuses me of being a Karen, I'll say something really dirty and nasty, which is, I'm not a Karen because I am the manager. And
Good.
But yeah, I've heard that about 100 times. Like, someone even asked me recently, "Are you offended?" I'm like, no, I'm not offended. Wait, should I be offended? I'm not sure. But sometimes I think that we should change the name, because not all Karens are bad. They're not. I mean, I'm not, but maybe there are others. Did it come from, this is so off topic and maybe not appropriate for what we're talking about here, but the show Kate and 8.
Oh gosh, whatever. Plus 8.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I think we should switch Karen to Kate. I think that would be more appropriate.
There's just something about the 2-syllable though. It's just like Karen, you know.
Okay, all right. So
a lot of consonants in there.
I was almost named Bertha.
That would have been a good one. See, I don't know which one you get more grief about though, because you got the whole Big Bertha thing. So you had to
Elsa was the other second choice. I could have dealt with that one. That
oh,
would've
you would have been on the receiving end of so much love. You'd be like, no, my name was Elsa before it was cool.
I know. I named my dog 12 years ago, and everyone else has named their dog Luna since then. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not trending. It's all right.
Yeah, I think one of the best statistics I've seen is like since like 2012 or 2013, the name Karen has dipped to like single digits from being, like a 20% name.
It wasn't cool when I was named it. I don't know why they did that to me, but it's fine.
It's out of love.
At least it wasn't like Sarah or, well, I don't know, whatever generic name, I guess. It's in school. I was like, oh, I always felt like I was 30 when I was 3.
But you, Nick, were you almost named something other than Nick?
Nicole. My parents had 2 names picked out. It was either Nick or Nicole, depending on what I was going to be.
There you go.
Yeah, could have been.
Nice.
Rudolpho was being floated around for a bit too.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh man, that stash, that eyebrow, the Rodolfo would have killed, buddy.
You know, if I shave this and I just do the stash, I completely look like an Italian guy that just came off the boat. I swear. I can do my De Niro impression. Ready?
Yeah, go. Oh my God! Stop!
Maybe
But you have to talk. You have to talk.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh my God!
So, as we're ending this, I think as we're coming to a close on this Sour Grapes show, we did promise movies because, I mean, I found that Star Wars picture with Han Solo getting splashed in the face with wine, and because I went to Google and I said Star Wars wine, and then this like comic thing showed up because Han Solo's trying to seduce Leia with like Carillion wine, and she gets upset because they're in the middle of a battle, and it's just the wrong time to seduce Leia, of course.
Classic Han.
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't the best vintage, you know, maybe like he should have gotten some Dagobah wine or something, you know, it would have been
right. That toilet wine, man. It's the best.
Very good vintage of this wine.
Gas gauges.
You know, you Mr. Calling. You know that, right?
I used to do some sound work in school. People still think I should do that, but
Facts.
anyway. Karen, I think you were going to give me a little bit of movie trivia for me to guess, right?
All right, sir.
You're going to quiz me or something, or that was what you're going to give me, like a movie line I was supposed to guess or something.
Okay, all right. I had one stuck in my head today. Let's see.
Or while we're on the subject, does anyone have any favorite wine references in songs or movies that they love?
Songs or movies?
I don't listen to a lot of rap, so
This is gonna go
Wait a second. There's wine and beer references and a lot of rock songs too. So.
Beer, absolutely.
Yeah. What about "Spill the Wine" by Eric Burdon and War?
I mean, or there's like "Save Tonight" where he talks about a bottle of wine by the fireplace, but they never like name drop, you know. Like whereas in rap, it's like boom, Cristal, boom, like.
Right. I've been wanting to send like a case of Shout to Muzar to Jay-Z for years, so he'd be like, speaking of Lebanese, that'd have been great. And then like the Muzar Lebanese wines would like skyrocket, and all the wine geeks would be pissed, and that'd be perfect. Sorry, you can't drink Lebanese Muzar anymore. Jay-Z likes it.
It'd be the anti-hero of the wine world. It'd be brilliant.
Actually, I do have when I was a kid, I remember watching course I watched Star Trek. I remember watching Star Trek
Yeah, we know.
4 or 5 or whatever, and there was like a scene in the beginning that it was like a bottle of wine floating through space, and it was Dom Perignon vintage 3200 something, and
Of course.
they used it to like christen the new Enterprise, so it like broke in space against the ship. So that was, I thought that was amusing, and that was like years before I ever knew like what wine was. But it just goes to show that like marketing wine bottles, even for decades or even generations, you know, can get into people's heads even as a young kid. And I knew nothing about wine at the time, but I always knew what Dom Perignon was even before I got into wine. So I always found that marketing, especially into movies and things, is always pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Casablanca, there's another one. First scene.
All the gin joints in all the world, and she comes into mine.
Mine.
The waiter in the first scene in the cafe brings in a bottle of Veuve Clicquot.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, Le Grand Dame, I mean, the biggest marketing push for champagne ever. I mean, she was like the master marketer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bottle. Just sitting there waiting. So I do this thing. We're getting off the topic of movies, but so I collect bottles and I don't drink them. They just sit in cabinets and closets, and and I don't know why I don't open them. And well, we got anyway. I had a few I was going to open on New Year's, but that didn't end up happening. But I collect them. You're supposed to, right? You collect them.
A little bit of both, right? You got to have things that you have to drink now, and you got to have to have things that you look forward to drinking to later. You know,
Yeah.
you got to find that balance.
I have a few things in boxes. I mean, when I say boxes, I mean like the wooden boxes that I should probably look through and take inventory of, because there's a lot of them.
Wait, here's a good question for you, Karen, and probably for you, Mike, too. What probably for both of you, what is everyone has that one or two epiphany wines that wasn't necessarily maybe the best wine they ever had, but like a wine that you had at a restaurant or had with friends and family, and you can remember thinking, oh wow, is this what wine is? Does any bottles or labels come to mind, or was there a special experience, or just something that sort of like got you hooked onto wine in the first place?
I have two, but I'll let Karen go first.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So when I first started my wine adventure, I was only drinking like California wines, and I didn't know anything about anything until I went to school and worked at a vineyard. And sorry, I think I'm tipped. And then I started to branch out a little bit, and I think my best experience was meeting all of the winemakers from Rothschild, Argentina and Chilean vineyards. And so one of them that I have is, or I always have, is Amancaya.
Classic.
Yeah, right. Love that wine. And the other one that I love is Charles Krug Cab, and the Sauvignon Blanc. And those are not like usually what I go for, but they are like something that I will reach for when I need, want something delicious. So that's my answer.
Charles Krug has a near and dear spot in my heart. I used to work across the street at Greystone in Napa Valley, and the whole younger Mondavi family, like Alicia and Rihanna, like awesome people. One of them actually married a friend of mine from culinary school. So.
Oh, that's great.
Krug.
Yeah, right. I'm on your team. All right,
Uh,
your turn.
yeah, for me it was, gosh, I had moved out to Cleveland. I was still working in neuroscience labs, and I had picked up, serving, just a couple nights a week, just to help pay bills. And I fell back in love with the whole wine and food scene. And I had won like a competition for who could sell the most, specials for the month or something. And I was able to pick a bottle off the list, and I grabbed, it was, I think, the 2005 Newton's The Puzzle. So it's their Bordeaux style blend. It's kind of like their answer to Duckhorn's The Discussion, where the blend is different every year, all this, that, and the other. I was like, oh, wow. I'd always heard about Burgundy and Bordeaux and how those were amazing. I was like, oh, you know what? California wine, pretty solid. And, next thing you know, a year and a half later, I'd moved out to Napa Valley. But one of those like epiphany wines I actually had was the Diamond Creek Volcanic Hill from 2014. I was helping host, I think it was Premier Napa Valley at Greystone, and we had to do the pre-event, and we had to pop a bunch of awesome bottles for the cellar. And somebody said, no, here's a glass for you, thanks for all your hard work. And it was just one of those mind-blowing experiences where you really see a wine evolve in the glass as you're tasting it. That took it to that next level for me for New World wines. And then it kind of bookended really nicely. I was able to taste their 2017 vintage, where, I mean, you talk about 2017, you talk about the fires, you talk about everything else like that. But, the fires actually made the winemaker like really worry for once and pay more attention than usual.
Yeah.
And it really made just one of the most amazing wines I think I've ever tasted. So the guy I was tasting it with, I think he is the president of Wine and Spirits magazine. He was like, yeah, this is one of the more special vintages out of them, in over a couple decades. So enjoy it.
Oh. I do. Diamond Creek is really awesome, and Charles Krug also shared experience. One of my friends, Jay Asesian, I think maybe you may have met him. Actually, both of you. He still is the J-Lore rep in the Northeast in Massachusetts. He used to work for JR Petron too. He brought over an 85 Krug out of Magnum one time to my friend's house. And I was like, those were the years when they were like meant to age and, have the acid for the long haul. It was a pretty sick wine. So my epiphanies. Okay. I'm going to name 2 or 3 like shotgun style. All right. 1.
I like how quickly you can do that because I can't.
All right. I remember buying a $10 bottle of Viognier from Languedoc. It was a producer called Alain Perret. It was a Vin de Pédoc, and I think that was probably 20 years ago when I probably just turned 21. I remember thinking, not only was this really cool grape variety I'd never heard of, but it sort of was well-balanced one too. So I got hooked on Viognier from a very young age.
That's one of my favorite grape varietals. Go on. Sorry.
That's right. No. I would always bring Viognier to like some of my accounts, and every single song was like, I hate Viognier, but I like Chateauneuf de Pape White. There's something about the Grenache Blanc. I don't know. Second wine epiphany was probably Chateau Musar. It was a game dinner. This really wonderful restaurant called the Castle in Leicester, Mass, whose wine cellar goes back to the 1950s. And they're the sweetest, most down-to-earth people, which is probably why I like to, protrude. That's a weird, no, whatever. I'm protruding. But like to promote wine in a down-to-earth manner. And he had Musars in his cellar since like the 60s. And then we had like this game dinner. There was like elk and antelope and all this stuff on the table, and he brings out the Musar 94. I'd never heard of the producer, and I said, "This is the most magical food pairing like I've ever had." So that was probably one of my first wine and food pairing epiphanies. I was like, "This is amazing." And then I got 2 more quick ones. One that really catapulted me into Burgundy instead of just California Pinot Noir. It was when we were in Burgundy. I was working for Marty's and Newton at the time. They totally hooked us up with a little trip. We ended up in the cellar of Gros Frere, and then Gros Frere and his mom, so she's like 85 years old. They both took us into the cellar. At this point, I had not really had, or I didn't understand French Burgundy. I had like a couple of things at the moment. And we're tasting 2005 Richebourg and Echezot out of barrel. And I was like, it blew me away. I said, I never knew Pinot Noir can do this.
Yeah.
And which probably later led me onto the path of, Barolo and things of that nature. But my first epiphany Italian wine, where I said, this is stellar, it's actually it was a dinner in the North End. It was a Brico restaurant. I remember John Hafferty when he was still working for Walker, way before he started Bin Ends. And he was a rep for Marty's. And we were at this dinner, and it was a Vias wine dinner. So all the Vias wines are on the table. And the wine that did it for me was San Leonardo from Trentino. And this was a Bordeaux blend. It was Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc. There was no Italian varietals to it, but there's something about a Northern Italian Bordeaux blend that just sort of blew me away. And I was just like, what is this crazy stuff? And and that probably led me into Bordeaux later, but it definitely got me into Italian. And instead of just saying everything's just Tuscany, I want to explore Trentino. I want to explore Alto Adige. And that's when my Italian thing started. And I pretty much never left Italy. I'm still a fiend for Italian wines.
Well, there's such diverse varietals from the top to the bottom. There's so much out there, and it's kind of crazy from Piemonte to Sicily. There are so many different varietals, and one of my favorites, which actually I was going to do tonight, but we'll talk about that later.
It's hanging like that.
Yeah, what is your favorite varietal?
So mean.
Aner de Troia from Puglia.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Well, I'd say you with your Italy connection. I had worked for a guy that had helped Mario open up Babbo back in the day. He then left and opened up a small restaurant where I grew up in the Hudson Valley, and that's where I cut my teeth on Italian varietals. And like there's just so much out there.
There's so much, and there's so many grapes. There's so many grapes, but that's a great thing. That's a grape thing.
Hey-o.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, Jessica wrote a really interesting. Apparently, this has got to be a movie quote that I'm not getting.
Movie quote, yeah.
So Macbeth, what three things does drink especially provoke? And then Porter. Marry, sir, nose painting, sleep and urine. Lechery, sir, it provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. Therefore, much drink may be said to be equivocated with lechery. It makes him and it mars him. It sets him on and it takes him off. It persuades him and disheartens him. Makes him stand to not stand to. I'm turning into Frasier. In conclusion, equivocates him in his sleep and giving him the lie, leaves him. I have no idea. Does anyone know that? Oh, she put it in.
Well, Macduff should have given it away.
I guess. Oh, Big Duff, yeah.
Yep.
Is this like a Simpsons presentation of Macbeth? Macduff.
I know.
It's Duff Man doing the Macduff voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What three things does this drink especially provoke? And everything.
Oh man! Oh God! All right, this is a fun time. We'll have you back, Karen.
Thank you.
Do an Italian show because I totally want to do an Italian show anyway. That's
In Austria.
Austria.
Yeah.
Austria. You did.
I've actually been
Tina.
to a bunch of the vineyards, so I have wine that I can say I got this here, and they made me Spätzle. So.
Well, you are a very Spätzle girl.
Again, you beat me in my own game. That was good. I never even thought about that one. Oh man, I failed on the puns.
No, there's some zingers tonight, for sure. Yeah,
That was definitely fun.
okay. Is this the end of zombie Shakespeare?
Ugh, now we're all going to die.
On that note, well,
All right, now.
just to round it off for anyone watching, because this is going online for posterity and prosperity. I am Nick Martinelli of Bee Hunter Wine in California.
I'm Mike Kowalski from the Berkshires who likes to drink.
And Karen.
I'm Karen Jensen-Hatcher, and I'm a clown.
I like totals.
Bye. Have fun storming the castle.
Right,
Drink more wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Let's
Thanks
finish
for
it up.
joining us.
Take care, guys.
Right. Bye. I need to stop recording.